surrounded by wrestling fans. Not sports entertainment fans. Professional wrestling fans! Professional wrestling! This is it! This is us standing up! This is
the Wrestling Matters Podcast, a podcast that stands up for professional wrestling. Why? Because wrestling matters. So join the revolution, because the revolution is now. Hey, start the show.
World, look into my eyes. When you see me on a show, when you see these fans, you know you've got the best in the damn world. We are ICW and you're gonna know our name. Here we fucking go!
Well, enough is enough, and it's time for a change!
Professional wrestling! This is it! This is us standing up!
Yes! 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 Yes!
That's 13-14!
Make it till death!
Dina, I am the best in the world.
Cause that's the bottom line. Cause Stone Cold Simpson.
Why, hello everybody, it's me, it's at HEAD, here for another installment of my ICW podcast brought to you by the Wrestling Matters Podcast. Hope you're all having a good week, hope you enjoyed the 64th installment of the Wrestling Matters Podcast, and today we're going to talk about International Superstar Wrestling Deluxe, which took place on 22nd of February 2015, brought to you by ICW. Now, it kicked off with Lewis Garvin. By the way, these matches that were on this were episode 3 and episode 4 of the Friday Night Fight Club. Now, it kicked off with Lewis Garvin versus Wolfgang. Now, both men lock up. Wolfgang has the power advantage. Lewis slaps Wolfgang, then Wolfgang, hard-hitting offense, whips Lewis into the corner 3 times, then splashes him, then Lewis stops him on the top with a drop kick, then hits a top rope superplex and gets a near fall. Lewis, showing a mean streak, gets a near fall, grounding Wolfgang. Wolfgang fights out of the headlock control, bounces off the rope snaps, and Wolfgang hits hard onto the arena floor, and then Lewis gets a near fall through it. You know, pushing him, throwing him back to the ring. Lewis gets a near fall. Now, suplex gets Wolfgang a near fall. By the way, Wolfgang came out of that okay. All the things that you learn when you're wrestling and that, you know, all the things that you learn when you're wrestling and that and all that stuff, and you know, comes back to help. Slam dunk counter into a chokehold by Lewis. Wolfgang powers out. Lewis locks an armbar on Wolfgang. Wolfgang uses his power to get out of it, hits a powerbomb, then goes up top, misses a senton. Lewis rolls up Wolfgang, feet on the ropes, and gets the win. So Lewis, with the upset there, beats Wolfgang. Next match was Dickie Divers one-on-one with Davey Boy. Wee Man does his thing, which he'll be doing later on as well with Stevie Boy and that. Toe-to-toe, fist fly to start the match. Dickie pulls Davey's pants down, then hits a bulldog, then an enziguri. Davey hits a spear, gets a near fall. Double axe handle from Davey on off top, gets a near fall, goes for another one. Dickie kicks him between the legs. Dickie hits a knee to the back of the head, and Dickie wins by knockout. After the match, out of nowhere, through the crowd comes Joe Coffey. Calls out the GM and say the same thing happened to him in Dundee, where he had to train with the young kids instead of training in the locker room with the boys. All because of the GM. GM is out, Red Lightning. Joe gets Red Lightning to explain why and explain his actions, and Red says that he takes credit for him being there and being in the spot that he's in, because once upon a time, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you that don't know, there was this thing in ICW called the Save Pro Wrestling Movement. And Red Lightning was the leader, and back when, from what Red Lightning says anyway, back when the Coffees weren't getting what they deserve, you know, and the Coffees weren't irrelevant in ICW, Red Lightning took them under their wing, and he believes the spot that Joe got to this point here, before his match with Drew Galloway at the at the Barramania show, he said that he takes credit for it, because if it wasn't for him, who knows where Joe Coffey be. Well, Joe says a belt is what he's wearing around the waist. What he's wearing around his waist, which is the weightlifting belt, and then after Barramania, he'll be taking the world title, and plans to win. And says he is not on the show's poster, and says that he is a self-made man. That Red Lightning didn't get him to where he is. That ICW probably didn't get him to where he is. That he did it all by himself with help of the Ultratrons, his fans. Red Lightning then sets up Joe, and David Conrad and Saqib Ali come out to do a beatdown, but Joe stops that and Joe kicks their ass. Red Lightning then books a match between Mikey Whiplash and Joe Coffey. Winner goes to Barramania. More on that in a bit. Sami Zayn and Viper. Viper attacks Sami from the start with a clothesline. Viper dives on Sami outside. Nikki gets involved. Sami hits a cutter. Then Nikki gets involved again. Then Sami dives on Viper. Slingshot neckbreaker gets Sami a near fall. Viper hits the Alabama slam. Sami counters the Viper bomb. Then hits a neckbreaker and gets a near fall. Viper hits the face first bomb and gets the win. Very short women's match there. Then on to the match with Mikey Whiplash and Joe Coffey. Joe Coffey, chain wrestling, hold for hold, toe to toe stuff. Joe gets the advantage with a shoulder block. Joe hits the 2 Hulk Busters, then a Bulldog and gets a near fall. Joe looking for deadlift. Mikey counters, hits an atomic drop, then hits 3 uppercuts, 2 which were in the corner when Joe was in the corner. The second one he hit standing up, the third one he hit when Joe was sitting down in the corner. Toe to toe chop fight. Joe hits a suplex while Mikey sat on the top rope. Joe gets a near fall. Toe to toe in the ring. Mikey hits Shining Wizard, then hits top rope elbow, gets a near fall, then hits a brainbuster, goes for the cover. The video plays. Now, for all of you that don't know, if you go back to the Barramania review show that I did, the very first episode of this ICW podcast, you will know who that person was, because we all know it was BT Gunn responsible, or came out to be BT Gunn as responsible. The mind games continued on with Mikey. Joe swings Mikey, then catapults him into the corner, hits 3 or 2 Hulk Busters, but he hit Hulk Busters nonetheless, then hits the deadlift suplex and gets a near fall. Joe then hits a discus clothesline and gets the victory. Now, after the match, Tommy and Joe argue in the ring because, well, let's face it, I don't think Tommy was particularly pleased that Joe took advantage of the situation Mikey turned out to be in with that video playing. But Mikey calmed things down in the process. And there you have it. That was part 1, ladies and gentlemen, of this ICW podcast. And coming up after the break, after this quick time out, I will present part 2 of this ICW podcast. So stay tuned. They say this is wrestling, but ladies and gentlemen, this is Progress Wrestling. And on July the 1st, Progress Wrestling comes to the Wrestling Matters podcast. That's right, Wednesday, July the 1st, I will present a podcast on Progress Wrestling, starting with Chapter 1, and from every week onwards, I will bring you every single show from that. ProgressWrestling.com, Progress Wrestling on demand service. Progress Wrestling comes to the Wrestling Matters podcast, July the 1st, only on SoundCloud, Stitcher Radio, YouTube, and OSW TV. Wrestling Matters, wrestling fans. Be sure to tune in every single Tuesday now for the Wrestling Matters Podcast Extra, where I'll be hosting a podcast on one promotion and one promotion only. ICW, Insane Championship Wrestling, the hottest promotion in Scotland. Well, I'll be reviewing their shows.
Oh my God!
Talking ICW.
That's 13-14!
And who knows, maybe getting some guests on. So be sure to tune in to the Wrestling Matters Podcast Extra ICW podcast, Insane Championship Wrestling, every Tuesday on YouTube, Podomatic, Stitcher Radio, downloaded free at iTunes, Mixcloud, and SoundCloud. Wrestling Matters, wrestling fans.
World, look into my eyes. When you see me on a show, when you see these fans, you know you've got the best in the damn world. We are ICW and you're gonna know our name. Here we fucking go!
Hello! Welcome back to part 2 of this ICW podcast. International Superstar Deluxe. Superstar Wrestling Deluxe, as it's called, which took place 22nd of February 2015. Thank you so much for tuning in to watch this, guys. Hope you've enjoyed it so far. Here's part 2. We'll kick off with part 2. Lou King Sharp versus Stevie Boy. Now, this match didn't last long, quite frankly. Quickness allows Lou King to hit a single leg drop kick, then hits a Hurricane Rana and gets a near fall. Lou King wastes time, counters and misses a frog splash. He was on top rope. Stevie Boy kicked him off, wasted a little bit of time, but manages to counter it, throws Stevie Boy down, goes for the frog splash and misses. Lou King shows quickness, bounces off the ropes, but then runs right into a super kick from Davey Boy, and Davey Boy ends up getting the win. Quick, simple. Another match that you don't blink. The next match after that were the tag team titles, which were defended by Polo Promotions. Jackie Polo and Mark Coffey, and they went against the models, Joey Hayes and Danny Hope. Danny Hope being a former Zero-G champion. The models introduced themselves and said they want the tag team titles. The models take the fight to Polo Promotions, and the models take control of Mark Coffey, and Danny gets a near fall. Mark in Trouble takes a neck breaker. Tag team wrestling displayed by the models, Advantage models. Mark Coffey fights back, hits a clothesline. Danny stops Mark, tagging Jackie. Advantage models again, still. Mark rocks Danny with dead wish, tags in Jackie, hits Polo slams but takes one of his own by Danny Hope. Danny Hope manages to hit a Polo slam of his own. Jackie then slams Joey and hits his slams, and then hits the axe handle smash from the second rope and gets a near fall. Jackie goes for a camel clutch on Danny. Actually, it was on Joey, because Danny then super kicked him off. Joey hits DDT, goes for the cover. Mark hits deadlift, back suplex. Then Polo Promotions hit pop-up German suplex, and Polo Promotions retain the tag team championships. And then Jackie does his thing on the mic, basically saying how much of a best wrestler he is in Scotland, dare I say the world, and so on and so on. After that, Liam Thompson versus Tommy N. Now, between the two, mat wrestling took place to start off the match. Liam working on the arm, controlling Tommy, then takes him down by leg and gets a near fall. Tommy's turn to take control. Liam works on the arm. Tommy turned to take control of Liam and works on the arm. That's what I meant to say. Sorry, there's a lot to say in this, guys. It's a lot of work to do and everything just to watch these matches, so bear with me. Great Train Wrestling ends with kick from Tommy and clothesline from Liam, and Liam gets a near fall. Advantage Liam. Tommy counters a backcracker. Liam rolls up for a near fall. Tommy punch kick combo, then hits a knee to the face. Liam nails a forearm. Tommy kicks him in the face. Tommy hits a German suplex and gets a near fall. Carmel got involved. Liam rolls up, gets a near fall. Liam hits a drop kick to the back, rolls up for a near fall, hits Northern Light suplex, gets a near fall. Hard kick to the chest by Tommy. Tommy goes up. Liam pushes Carmel, stops Tommy. Liam hits the top rope superplex and gets a near fall. Carmel slaps Tommy. Tommy grabs Carmel. Liam goes to hit Tommy but misses, hits Carmel instead. Liam turns around, takes a spin kick to the face, and Tommy ends gets the victory, much to the dismay of Carmel and Liam Thompson. Now for the main event, which was supposed to be a tag team match, but for some strange reason ended up a 6-man. Now, Joe Henry comes out and reads something that he got before the match and everything, and basically at the end of the day it was story time with Joe, and boy oh boy did it mock the 55. 55 jump Henry and Williams from the start. Music plays and out comes Noam Dar. Fight goes on in the ring. Wally takes the fight for some strange reason to Williams and Henry. Dar kicks Kid fight. The match gets announced, by the way, to 6-man. Dar kicks Kid and then dives on the 55. Match again gets announced by it's a 6-man. Dan Kirby fight in the ring. Dad does his best John Cena impersonation, then tags in Joe. 55 changed the momentum. Tim hits Dominator on Williams in the corner, basically just ramming Williams into the turnbuckle, kind of like what Rick Steiner used to do, or Scott Steiner for that matter. Williams in trouble, suplex gets a near fall. Williams at the 55's mercy, 55 tagging in and out. Wiley in control, Williams elbow gets Wiley in control of Williams, gets elbow, gets a near fall, and they just control Williams from that point on. Williams tries to fight back, but Kid Fight hits an elbow and gets a near fall. Kirby hits a diving spear in the corner, then a drop kick that gets a near fall for him. Beautiful butterfly suplex by Tim Wiley gets him a near fall. 55 in control. Kenny gets a near fall, hits an enziguri. Kenny looks to tag. Kennedy stops that, but Kenny tags in Joe and the fight backs on. Joe hits Freak of Nature on Tim Wiley, hits Kid Fight with a DDT, then goes for trip around the world. Kirby gets loose from it, and then Tim spears Joe. Dar's super kick. Tim takes turns on Kirby. Go for the cover. Kennedy pulls the ref out. Dar, Joe go for James. Kid powerbombs Kenny in the corner. Tim hits a neck breaker and then gets a near fall. 55. Kirby looks to hit Kenny with a 0G title, but Wolfgang comes out from behind the curtain and grabs James R. Kennedy, throws Kennedy onto Tim and Kid Fight. Kirby goes to hit Kenny with the title. Williams rolls up and Kirby and gets the victory for his team ICW. And the 55 lose, and they will not particularly happy with it. And just as the show's about to end, Dickie Divers comes out to address what happened with him at Square Go. Now, if you all remember, Dickie won Square Go at the expense of Chris Renfrew, because everybody thought, well, Chris Renfrew thought it was going to be the 80th Square Go ever, because he thought Dickie being a part of the New Age clique, he was going to be doing the job for him, allowing Chris to win the Square Go. Didn't happen though, and Chris was a little angry about it. He comes out, hands Dickie Divers a pair of scissors. Dickie didn't know what to do with it, puts it down, and as soon as Dickie Divers turns round, Chris proceeds to hit him with the scissors in the face, busts him open, then goes out and gets a chair, proceeds to whack Dickie with the chair on numerous occasions, and then hits him with a T-virus. Completely just lays him out. And for a good, say, 5 to 10 minutes, Dickie never moved. And then when the show officially went off air, it showed for at least 5 minutes people working on Dickie Divers, trying to make sure he was okay. And even Mark Dallas was checking on him and everybody else. So eventually they took Dickie to the back and ended the show. And if you want to see this show, just like other shows here on ICW, on the ICW podcast, all these shows that I've talked about from previous episodes, if you want to see them in full, there's only one place you can do that, ladies and gentlemen, and that's on ICW On Demand. And apparently, for more information on this as well, go to ICW.com, I believe it is, or insanewrestling.co.uk. Hang on, let me check. Wow, it's a bit idiotic when you don't know the actual the actual website. It's insanewrestling.co.uk. So for more information on the ICW in general, as well as the on-demand service, go to insanewrestling.co.uk for more information on where it is, where you can find it. It's £3.74 a month, and believe you me, I'll keep on saying it until I'm blue in the face. It'll be the best £3.74 a month you will ever pay. Now, just run through quick matches before I go as well. On the 26th of July, it's back. Apparently there's going to be 2 nights of ICW, Shug's Hoose Party and that, so be sure to check that out as well. And now I'm just going to run through a few matches that are going to take place. Polo Promotions defend the Tag Team Championships, Shug's Hoose Party 2 on the 26th against Kenny Williams and Noam Dar. Damo challenges Drew Galloway for the ICW World Heavyweight Championship on the 26th as well. Mick Foley coming to ICW in November for Fear and Loathing. He will be taking place, and that is on November 15th. And the match that everybody wants to see. Number 1 contenders match for the ICW Tag Team Championships, which takes place on August 2nd, 2015, City Nightclub, Edinburgh. It is the NAK, BT Gunn, Chris Renfrew going against the Sumerian Death Squad, which is the 2 members of the Legion with Mikey Whiplash, which is Tommy End and his original tag team partner. So be sure to check that out. Like I say, for more information, go to insanewrestling.co.uk. Follow them at Insane Champ Wrestling Insane Champ Wrestle on Twitter. I always get that mixed up. As well as Facebook.com/Insane Championship Wrestling. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening to this podcast. It is an absolute pleasure. By the way, that wasn't Insane Championship Wrestling. It was Facebook.com/Insane Wrestling on Facebook. So be sure to check all that out. Like I say, for more information, go to the website. And until next time, ladies and gentlemen, here on this ICW podcast brought to you by the Wrestling Matters podcast, thank you so much for listening. See ya!